You think you're smart with money, don't you? You read the articles, you nod along at all the right places, you even call yourself an investor because you have a brokerage account and a handful of stocks. But let's be honest for a second. How much of your investing is actually intelligent, and how much of it is just you desperately hoping you're not making a mistake you won't see until it's too late? You tell yourself you're different, that you're better than those people blindly following the crowd or panicking at every market headline. But is that really true? Or is it just another story you tell yourself to feel in control? Stop and think about this. If you really are so sharp, why are you still haunted by that gnawing anxiety every time the market dips? Why do you check your portfolio obsessively, your heart rate spiking with every fluctuation? If you actually believed in your own strategy, would you need to keep seeking reassurance that you haven't screwed it all up? Let me ask you something. Do you remember the first time you lost money on an investment? That sick, hollow feeling in your stomach when the red numbers wouldn't stop? At that moment, did you double down on your brilliant long-term thesis? Or did you frantically Google, should I sell now? Because here's the painful truth that nobody really talks about. Most investor mistakes don't happen because you pick the wrong stock. Most investor mistakes happen because you won't admit to yourself that you don't actually know why you're doing what you're doing. You just want to feel safe. But here's what nobody tells you. Everyone is losing money right now. Not because of bad picks or unlucky timing, but because of something much more insidious. You're losing money because you can't stand the discomfort of uncertainty. You're so desperate to escape the anxiety of not knowing. You make moves you can't justify, hoping for relief that never really comes. Why do you think the financial news exists? Why do you think every headline is crafted to make you feel like you have to act immediately or risk being left behind? You believe you're making informed choices, but you're really just medicating your fear of the unknown. How much money have you wasted chasing that feeling of certainty? How many long-term investments have you quietly sold at the first sign of trouble, telling yourself you'll buy back in later, only to watch and regret as the price rebounds without you? Let me ask you again, how often do you follow the crowd, even though you pretend you're above it? You see a stock surging, you convince yourself you've done the research, and you pile in, secretly hoping for validation. Then the price crashes and you scramble to find some expert opinion that tells you you're still smart. But deep down, you know the truth. You're just another face in the herd, afraid to stand alone in uncertainty. Why do you think so many investors outperform the market only on paper? Because when the pressure is on and the screens are red, theory collapses and psychology takes over. The market exposes the gap between who you think you are and what you actually do under stress. Isn't that the worst kind of embarrassment? Not for others, but for yourself? You have these lofty ideas about discipline and patience, but the second your gut twists with fear, you throw it all out. Why is that? Stop and think about this. Why is it so hard for you to sit still when everything in your body is screaming at you to do something? Anything, just to make the discomfort stop? Is it really about maximizing returns, or is it about trying to outrun your own anxiety? You can build spreadsheets, follow gurus, set stop losses and limit orders, but none of that matters as long as you're still ruled by the urge to escape uncertainty. And that urge is costing you more than you realize. Let me give you a picture. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. Market cycles have come and gone. You've made some gains, suffered some losses. But the real question is, have you actually built wealth, or have you just spent 5 years chasing your tail, churning your portfolio, jumping from one next big thing to another, always trying to capture that elusive feeling of security? Picture opening your statements. Do you feel proud, or do you feel regret for every time you let panic or FOMO make the decision for you? Are you really investing, or are you just gambling in slow motion? But here's what nobody tells you. The real mistake isn't picking the wrong stock, or missing the hottest trend. The real mistake is refusing to see that you're the problem, not the market, not the economy, not some invisible they manipulating the system against you. It's you. It's your inability to tolerate not knowing, the way you sabotage yourself every time things get uncomfortable. The market is just a mirror, reflecting your inability to be still with uncertainty. Let me ask you, how many times have you sworn you'd stay long-term, only to abandon your plan the moment reality got messy? How often do you think people become wealthy by chasing every new tip, every flashing headline? Do you really believe that's how fortunes are built? Or is it just easier to believe that because the alternative, learning to sit with discomfort, is so much harder? Maybe you think you're different, smarter, more disciplined. But if you're honest, you know the truth. Fear makes you sell too soon. Greed makes you buy too late. You jump in and out, always certain that this time you're doing the smart thing, always justifying it to yourself after the fact. This isn't investing. It's just emotional whiplash with a brokerage account. Stop and think about this. For every Warren Buffett calmly waiting years for his thesis to play out, there are thousands of people trading on impulse, convincing themselves that this time is different. Which one are you, really? What story does your portfolio tell about who you are when no one's watching? Are you building wealth, or are you just feeding your need for control? But here's the part you won't like. The only way to stop making these mistakes is to embrace discomfort as a normal part of investing. That's it. Not a new strategy, not a secret stock pick, not some magic formula, just the willingness to feel uneasy and do nothing. That's where real wealth is built, by people who can tolerate not knowing and refuse to let fear write their financial story. Imagine what your life could look like if you actually did this. Imagine checking your statements and seeing not just numbers, but proof of your own discipline. Imagine the confidence that comes from knowing you can sit in uncertainty and not flinch. 5 years from now, would you rather be the person who panicked at every headline, or the one who quietly compounded wealth while others lost their nerve? This is the painful truth. Until you learn to sit with discomfort, every trade, every decision, every strategy is just another version of the same mistake. You're not investing. You're just managing your anxiety with your bank account as collateral. If this changed how you think about money, subscribe to Mind Over Money right now, because understanding your financial psychology is how wealth actually starts. Hit that like button if you're ready to think differently.